that I cannot teach him in this institute because our rules of the institute don't allow like kids to come in. But I will teach him on weekends. And like we used to spend weekends like starting from 9 in the morning to evening 8 o'clock. And that professor, he taught me programming when I was in 6th standard. So I learned C, C++, Fox Pro, databases. And it was a really fascinating journey. So post that, like I told my father that I want to give the Microsoft certifications. And again, you know, like Microsoft certifications are typically given after completing engineering. And I was in just 8th, 9th standard when I decided to do all of this. He said, why not, you know, like let's give it a shot. So he allowed me to like bunk school for some time. My mom used to come and talk to the principal to give reasons on why I'm not coming to school, but I tried to crunch in my whole study in like 2 months' time, and I was fortunate to be the world's youngest Microsoft certified engineer at the age of 14. But this was just the beginning of my journey. I mean, I was really fortunate to meet a lot of interesting people and who were mentors in my life, and they have been a big influence in what I'm doing today or what I want to do in the future. I mean, I'm still at the first step of my life on what I really want to do in this country. So my journey started, like after I completed my 10th standard, I had a big vacation. I had planned a lot, like half the time I used to spend in planning on what I'm going to do in vacation, post the exams. So all my like projects were lined up. What am I going to do? I'm going to build these circuitries. I'm going to write this code. Like everything was planned out for the vacation, and I actually ended up starting my first company right after my 10th standard. I was 15, 16 years old that time, and I started this company called Technokarma Labs, which is still existing today, which is the brain behind what we do. And the idea behind this company was that we wanted to create like good technology products. So like India is well known for a lot of services or service-driven companies, or even companies who are doing manufacturing are essentially doing manufacturing for someone else. There are very few handful of companies, especially in technology space or IT space, which you can see who build products. So I'll be talking about the differences in products and services in my presentation. So I really see that India had a great potential with innovators. I mean, like we have one innovator sitting here, Karan. So like with innovators around here, you know, you can really create some great products and export it to the whole world instead of, you know, being users of products to provide services on it. And with this vision, I mean, this vision was given to me by Dr. Mashelkar, where he said that you have to be the innovator to create products and not just services. And I took that inspiration. I started off my first company. We hired a team of about 5 people. We were working day and night. I was parallelly doing my education. And like all the things that I was working on was like high performance computing. So we created like a supercomputer out of off-the-shelf parts. We created ad hoc networks. So let's say that if a disaster occurs, say like today earthquake occurs in a location like Gujarat, the towers collapse, the mobile towers collapse. And that is the time when communication is most needed. So how would you solve this problem that people still should be able to use their mobile phones when a disaster like this occurs? So we created some pieces of technology which were called ad hoc networks, where like cell phones could actually talk to each other. Like now practically everybody, like the cell phone density has become so high that you don't need to talk to towers anymore. If I want to call someone like who is about few kilometers away, why can't I use somebody else's phone to hop the signal and go to the final destination that I want to reach to? So we created this technology back in 2002, and like this was my hobby project that became into an open source project later on. I got an opportunity to skip my bachelor's degree, and Dr. Bhatkar allowed me to pursue my master's directly. So by the age of, thank you. So I did my master's by research at I2 IT here in Pune, and I was like really enjoying doing a lot of different research, cutting edge research work in field of telecommunications. I published some research papers. I was not very old than what you are today. I was like 19 when I got my first master's degree, and then I decided to go to US to pursue my further education and work. I spent 4 good years in US learning things, learning how companies work there, how technology companies function there, because the whole innovation culture there is very different, and that like got me more inspired and motivated to start a company by coming back to India. So I worked for a company called Qualcomm out there for a year. I then joined in at University of California. I completed my second master's from there. I was 21. I decided to come back. Like I had started off my PhD, but I decided to take a slight break from it to try out a company. I came back to India in 2008 and I started this company called Touch Magics. So, like who likes like all these special effects that happen in Iron Man? Right? We make those. Like we actually create these kind of systems in real life. So I used to love watching these movies. I used to watch, like when I was studying in college, I used to watch one movie every day. I used to love science fiction movies. And these science fiction movies were actually part of inspiration of what I was heading to. And like we thought that, you know, let's start building something. Let's see how it can be used by someone in a much more productive way. So I started off this idea called Touch Magics, where we use like camera-based sensors and we create different kind of experiences. So what we do at Touch Magics is essentially a combination of technology and art coming together. So whatever painting, drawing, 3D Studio Max, animation that I had learned, and programming and electronics that I had learned, like this idea was something which brought everything together. So did you know that computer science was also an art some time ago? So it's like poetry. Like you can create anything you want with computer programming. So like it was actually an art subject before it became a science, long time ago. So today we talk about experiences that, oh, you know what, when I operate or when I play this game, it's a great experience, or when I operate my phone, it's a great experience. So an experience is actually a combination of hardware, that is the electronics, the software, that is the code, and the art side of it or the experience side of it coming together to create a holistic experience. So today we can like touch things, feel things, hear things, and the way we are interacting with computers is a combination of all of these, you know, like you are typing, you are touching, and soon you will be seeing, you know, technologies where you could smell things, or things like 3D printing, you know, where like something in virtual world is being printed into real life. Like these kind of things are going to be part of your daily lives in the coming years. So we thought that let's create something where we can combine some cool technology. So we use computers, projectors, and specialized sensors, electronic sensors that we make to create like very large interactive surfaces. So we create these kind of interactive floors with projections which are interactive when you walk on it, you can stamp on it. So you can have a game on the floor where you can be like popping things by stepping on them or kicking a football on the ground. We create interactive tables like gaming walls which are used in gaming arenas or like museum kind of spaces. A lot of interactive art installations are done using the technology that we make. So let's say that you are walking in front of a screen and you know you see your own image with wings on it. So augmenting reality with virtual objects. Then because of our name, you know, our customers drove us to create something in multi-touch. So large format multi-touch, like the things that you see in sci-fi movies, like people touching these big transparent screens and doing things on it. We also create another interesting product which is a coffee table which has a computer built into it. So we believe that the homes of the future would be having a table on which so instead of you know like playing games on your phone, which has become a very individualistic approach, we want to bring, you know, family activities back into the living room. So this is one product, you know, where you can play Scrabble, Snakes and Ladders, Monopoly, everything on the table. And we believe that this would be part of the future homes to come. So, I mean, we are constantly innovating and creating new interesting technologies. I mean, we have like kids coming to our office and testing things that we do because we believe that kids are the best people to give feedbacks on what we do. So we have like kids of our own employees come to our office and give feedback on things. It's a very playful. Yeah, if anybody wants to see these things, give me a call. I'll be sharing my email address. So you can, we created another piece of technology called Magix Phone. So we believe that like using mobile phones, you can create some very interesting experiences. So imagine you enter into a mall and you want to shop for something, you see this advertisement running on the screen, you pull out your mobile phone and actually start interacting with that advertisement by dialing a number. Okay, so let's say that you have an IPL quiz going on about cricket. If you answer 5 questions correctly, you will get a discount coupon to go and shop like sports shoes at Nike. So brands basically use these kind of mediums to communicate with their customers, to engage with their customers. Or let's say that an interactive hoarding is put inside a mall. When you see a regular hoarding, very few people will remember that what they have seen. Like tell me like last 5 hoardings that you have seen while coming to school. You hardly remember them. So with these interactive technologies, what happens is that you get people involved in these interactions and great kind of experiences are created. So I'll be sharing a small video right now, which talks about how this interactive technology works. It's okay.
You can hold this mic.
That's okay, there's not much of an audio, just music. So this is an installation done at a museum where you just like point to a year in the history and it reveals what happened in that year. This is something cool that we did on bowling alleys. This is the coffee table. So it has like a huge screen fitted into it. Thank you. So we have been really fortunate and we are proud to be an Indian company serving the globe. We are exporting these products to more than 40 countries. And I'm proud to say that what Dr. Mashelkar had given me the vision of creating a product like an Indian product for the world. This is just the first company or the product. My dream is to create 10 such companies during my lifetime and encourage people to start such kind of product companies in India.